Hello everyone, this is Lucrezia from Almanova Astrology, and today I'm going to show you how to relocate your chart on astro.com. So chart relocation is a technique that allows you to understand what planetary influences show up for you in a specific place. So this is the second part of a tutorial. In the first part, I explained to you how to understand your astrocartography map that you can also get on astro.com in order to understand the planetary influences that show up for you in each specific place. Relocation chart is the second step that allows you to understand with an additional layer the permanent influence that you will experience in a specific place. So this can be considered similar to transits, yet you need to be mindful of the fact that your chart does not change. So you will still experience the same planetary influences of your natal chart. Yet with the relocation chart, you have a picture of the energy of the place interacting with you. So the ascendant can change, the houses can change, and the degree of the planets stays the same. So to get the relocation chart, basically, is to pretend that you were born in another place, yet at the same exact moment. So if it's in a different time zone, that the hour would be different. So now I show you how to create a relocation chart on astro.com, and then we will go through some ways to interpret it. The first thing you need to do, you go on astro.com under the free horoscopes tab. You select in the third column extended chart selection. Okay, I'm already here. I'm already in with my credentials. So you need to insert your birth data if you don't have an account on astro.com. Then you go a little bit lower in the page, and in default settings, you will see that you have reference place is usually your birthplace, and you need to change that. So in the first video, I showed you some different places in the world, and we will use the same places to understand what influence they have on my own natal chart. So here you put the name of the place that you want to relocate your chart to. And I will put this place where I showed you in the first video, that is on my Neptune line where I lived. So here again, you need to, let's say, change your house system. If you use another house system, I use Porphyry. And on chart type, you need to change relocation chart. This works only if you have changed the reference place. So let's see this chart. So this is not significantly relevant, doesn't change very relevantly because the time zone difference is only 1 hour. Then we will see that the ascendant can change if the time zone is very different. So things you want to look out for in a relocation chart. You want to see Pluto house position, nodal axis house position, and Saturn house position. I believe these are the main ones. Yet if you have, for example, a stellium, I have natal stellium in the 8th house. So this is still in the 8th house, but if it changed, if it moves to another house, it's going to bring a lot of energy to the matters of that house. So it's something else you need to be mindful of. Then the aspects are still the same, and the degree of the planets, as I was saying before, still is the same. So some changes compared to my natal chart. I have Pluto natally in the 9th house. It moves on the 10th house. So a lot more of emphasis on work. So as I don't think I said it before, but I was working 2 jobs here. So I was working a lot of the time. And with Pluto in the 10th house, there is tendentially a need to separate one's identity from one's social role and focus more on the inner identity and the inner world. So the 1st house of Cancer. Definitely experience that. Then my nodal axis is moving from my north node is moving from my 11th house to my 12th house. And so my south node is moving in my 6th house. This is another repetitive pattern of the theme of work and focusing on my inner world. So this is my Neptune line. So Neptune normally is in my 12th house. Now it's moving on my ascendant, and it is exact. So the influence is extremely strong. Yet with my North Node in the 12th house, it also offers an invitation to spiritualize life, to find a spiritual perspective of life. And this is another thing that I experienced in this place. Then, so my Neptune is natally square my Venus and my Moon as well. So as I was saying in the previous video, lessons of discrimination of people I relate with, discrimination of people I share my home space with, were very strong in this place. Other than that, my Saturn is still in the 1st house, so it's nothing new that I experienced regarding Saturn. Let's have a look at another place. So the other place that I checked was Melbourne, Australia. And in this place was a lot about relationships for me. Let's see how my relocation chart is changing. So as I was saying before, you need to be mindful of what natal aspects are activated in any specific place. So for example, if this was on my Venus line, I know that I have Venus square Neptune, so this aspect is going to be emphasized for me. As you can see, my ascendant is changing significantly. So in this case, ascendant would be Gemini, Mars would be in my 1st house, which is good, yet still in Cancer, so maybe there will be more emphasis about how to do Mars in Cancer right. Pluto house position has changed. It moved in the 5th house. Saturn moved into the 8th house, and my North Node moved into the 7th house, together with Neptune. So my stellium moved from the 8th to the 3rd house. So what I see from this chart, there is definitely a lot of influence on, it was my Venus EC line, so how to do relationships right. So North Node is in the 7th house, so I need to learn how to share, I need to learn how to do relationships right, and I need to get out on my own individualism in some way, which is Pluto in the 5th and South Node in the 1st. Yet I have Neptune and Uranus in the 7th house, and this is telling me that I need to be careful who I engage with, that there can be some disruption, other people can be quite disrupting, and Saturn in the 8th is telling me that I need to be careful about whom I trust, whom I commit to, whom I share my money with, whom I share my sexuality with, and these are going to be relevant themes because it's on my Venus line, and Venus is about relationships with self and the other. So stellium in my 3rd house is emphasizing my mental attitude about everything, so maybe changing my perception of the world around me, and definitely mind opening is going to be a mind opening place. Let's have a look at the other place. Last place was Bali, Ubud, Bali. So I've always felt I want to go there, and I'm curious to see what influences show up for me. And this was a place that was very good for writing. It was my Sun Mercury on the descendant line. So definitely meeting interesting people that I can exchange ideas with, and maybe new business connections, who knows. Let's see what the relocation chart is saying. So as you can see, also in this place, the ascendant has changed. Pluto moved to my 6th house, Saturn moved into my 9th house. Nodes are still in the 7th house and 1st house, so North Node in the 7th house, yet Neptune and Uranus move into my 8th house. So, and yes, also my stellium moved into the 4th house, so definitely a lot of influence on the home, maybe working from home with other people. 7th house, learn how to share with other people, my own space, collaboration, new exciting opportunities to work with other people. Neptune and Uranus in the 8th house can make it hard to distinguish whom do I share my resources with, whom do I share myself sexually, and about the concept of intimacy and trust. There can be disruptions in these areas, and there can also be confusion due to Neptune. Yet Neptune always offers the possibility to spiritualize and to find a higher perspective of everything. So in this case, also my moon would be in the 11th house of group, teamwork, friendships, and community. So maybe that would mean living in a place where I share my space with other people, living in a community. And also the house where Chiron is in is going to offer us interesting information about this particular place and what kind of experiences we can be extremely sensitive to. So in this case, it's third house of communication. This is a repeating theme, as this was on my Mercury IC line. So I hope I gave you an idea of what kind of information and the insight relocating our chart can give us. And this is just an example, and you can play around with it. And if you have any question or doubts, feel free to text me. As always, send me a DM or comment on this video.